Well, good morning, Wheatley Baptist Church family. It's Pastor Dave with a special update specifically regarding our church reopening and just some information that we want to pass on to you. I need to just share with you guidelines, regulations, all of these rules and suggestions and encouragements that we as a church are being encouraged to follow are changing almost on a daily basis. And so we've really been reluctant to put out something too soon this week, but today is Saturday, and we have a number of guidelines that have been published, one just recently from the province that actually came again yesterday. And so we think we've got enough information now to be able to give you this update about our church reopening on Sunday, July the 5th at 10 a.m. So Sunday, July 5th, 10 a.m. will be our first in-person worship service. And really what I want to do this morning is just give you kind of some general information in three specific areas. And then I'll come back towards the end of this update and tell you where we're going to go next. But really, I want to touch on what you can expect with the building. I want to touch on what you can expect with our worship service. And I also want to just kind of give you some miscellaneous or other information that I think is going to be important for you. So, first of all, you heard me say already, our first in-person worship service will be July the 5th at 10 a.m. And so some of the guidelines and encouragements that we're getting is to keep our meeting time as brief as possible, with still being appropriate as far as us being able to worship together. And so if our service starts at 10 a.m., we would ask you not to attend the church building more than 15 minutes prior to the service. It's not that the doors are going to be locked or anything like that, but we want you to try and do your very best. We know some of you are traveling from a distance, so that's okay. We want you to do your very best to not to be here prior to 15 minutes ahead of the service. You'll also notice when you get into the building that the building in many areas will have restricted access. And so next week, I'll talk more about this. Next week, we're actually going to do a video walkthrough of the building so you can see what you're going to be expecting. But many parts of the building that you might usually access will be closed. Certainly the front lobby area will be open. The sanctuary will be open. The washrooms will be open, though we would encourage you not to use them. So we need to have them open, for emergency's sake, and we'll have them outfitted with cleaning kits should those be required. But we would just ask that if you can, that you avoid using the washrooms at the facility. What should you expect during our service? Well, a few things. One, we're being encouraged to keep our service to approximately 30 minutes, and so we're gonna do that. We're going to aim for a 30-minute service. We will not be celebrating communion on July the 5th. We will do that on July the 12th. So July the 12th might be a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but we're really going to do our very best to try and keep inside that 30-minute threshold. A couple things that we're working on right now. A lot of you will probably have heard or realize already that congregational singing will not be encouraged. And so I just want to say that congregational singing will not be encouraged. So we're doing some things to try and plan around that. That doesn't mean that music will not be a part of our service. Music is a really intentional and important part of our worship experience, and so music will be. But congregational singing and the number of singing pieces or musical pieces will be limited during our service that way. The other thing that you'll notice in our service, specifically in the sanctuary, is going to be a very dedicated seating plan. So you'll already be familiar with the fact that we need to have a seating plan that does two things. Allows us to not exceed the 30% capacity in the worship area of the church, which is our sanctuary. So we're pretty comfortable being able to do that. But also within that 30%, we need to be able to keep a 2-meter space at all times. And so you will, when you come into the sanctuary, we will be helping you find a place to sit. And we will have a bit of a traffic pattern in the sanctuary. So more about that next week. And we just really ask for grace. I'm going to speak about that in a few minutes too, but we would just really ask for you to help us with that when you come into the sanctuary. So a little bit more on that again next week as we do the walkthrough. Finally, there are some other basic information pieces that I think will be helpful to you. Maybe obviously, but if not, no food or drink. So on the premises, we will not have coffee available. We will not have cookies available. We will not even have the water jug available there. So if you need a bottle of water or something like that, we just encourage you to bring that with you. Probably one of the toughest parts for me to get my head around is this idea of not fellowshipping, not gathering before and after the service. And so as we said, we would ask you not to come into the building prior to 15 minutes before the service, and we'll take you in and have you seated. Also, during the exit, we would ask that you not congregate. Boy, this is tough for me to say this. I have to be honest with you. But we would ask you not to congregate in the lobby or in the open area of the sanctuary. You're welcome to do that outside, in the parking lot, out by the lawn, maintaining this 2-meter distance that we need to really respect. But that's important. We'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of that next week too. And finally, for the month of July, there will be no children's programming. There's a lot of information starting to come out now from the province around children's programming and gathering children together, and some real problems that come associated with that. So we will not be having any children's programming. We do want a brief time in the worship service to be dedicated to interacting with some children. I miss them. So we're going to do that, but there will not be children's programming in the month of July. As I said, we are planning a very specific walkthrough of the building, which we will actually be videoing next week. And so you'll see not just myself, but some other members of the leadership team that'll be taking you through the building and taking you through parts of the service so that you really have a good idea about what to expect there. So look for that. Also, beginning Monday, we will have a new web page up on our website. So there will be a web page specifically devoted to our re-entry guidelines, because we know, just as I put this video out to you, some of these things are going to continue to evolve and continue to change. And so we're going to have a dedicated page on our website just to making sure that you are very familiar and very comfortable with the guidelines that we are working through. Also, what I've said to you, we expect to be the guidelines and the processes that we will follow for the July 5th and July 12th service. And our commitment is to be reviewing these things each and every 2 weeks. We know a 2-week interval is what the province seems to be using in many cases. It gives us time to be able to, in some cases, be proactive or some cases reactive. For example, and I know a lot of you are wondering about this, use of face masks will be mandatory for the July 5th and the July 12th service. Those will be mandatory. So we encourage you to bring a face mask to the service. If for some reason you forget or some reason you don't have one, we will have those available for you. But we will need to have face masks on for July the 5th and July the 12th. Then we'll revisit that decision along with some of the other decisions that we've made, and we'll continue to keep you updated. That's why that website is, or the web page on our website is going to be very important. Finally, folks, I just want to use the word grace here. We're not going to get this entirely right. We know that. We're not, unfortunately, maybe going to be able to check every box that each one of you have. But I would just ask for your grace. I would ask that you continue to give us feedback. You have been absolutely wonderful about that. Thank you so much for that. But where we have to check a box for one person and not check a box for another person, I would just ask that you offer us grace in that. We really are striving to make sure that we can have a safe and meaningful worship experience for each and every person that wants to attend in person. We will continue, as you'll see this week, we will continue with a modified online church service for those of you that don't want to attend in person. And what I want to say finally, and you'll hear me say over and over, is if you choose not to attend on July the 5th, that's okay. We want you to be safe. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be part of our community. And so we're going to continue to find ways to meet together virtually as we have been doing. That's not going to go away, I don't think, for some time now. But for those of you that intend on coming for July the 5th at 10 a.m., we want this to be a safe and meaningful worship time for you as well. I'm very excited, actually, about us being able to kind of move forward a little bit. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you in advance for your grace. And I'll look forward to seeing you this Sunday as we worship together online. Blessings.